Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I am Abhishek, and today we are going to look at advancements in developer console and how we can manage our Forge apps using the developer console. Let's quickly see what we have an agenda for today. We'll start off with a quick introduction about me, your presenter today. Then we'll do a quick quiz to check how many people already know about the developer console. Then we'll go into the introduction of developer console, how it can help you manage your Forge applications and help you debug issues in your Forge application. Post the introduction, we'll dive into a demo featuring some real world examples. We'll show you how the developer console can help you keep your app running smoothly. Then we can have a sneak peek on some of the upcoming features. And if you have any questions during the presentation, my teammates are here to help. So just ask the questions in the Zoom chat and me or one of my teammates will try to answer some of them. So we have a lot to cover. Let us begin. So we can start with who am I? I'm a software engineer on the Operate team based in India. I've been in Atlassian for 3 years now. I work on the developer documentation side, aka DAC, and our observability platform for Forge, known as the developer console. Some of the things that I've worked on are enhancing our developer console by adding better search and filtering capabilities on the log screen. And I've also worked on several features to improve tag documentation. One of them is redesigning the REST API pages. And before we jump into what the developer console is all about, let's check how familiar everyone in this session is with the console today. Uh, in the next slides, we have got a few scenarios lined up, and you can use the chat section to share your answers. And don't worry if you are not sure about some of the features. This session is designed to help with that. And by the end, we hope you'll have answer to some of these scenarios and much more that you might encounter as Forge developers in the future. So yeah, we can begin. Let me open the chat section as well. Yes. Yep. So this is our first scenario. So how do you add a new team member to help you with your Forge app development? I'll need to stop sharing. See the chat section. Okay, I don't see any answers. Maybe I can answer this one. So we can use the contributor section on developers console. I see Gustavo, you are right. So we can use the contributor section on dev console and add our new team members. So where would you check to see if Jira APIs in your code is causing errors while creating tickets? Okay, maybe I can answer this one. Do logs close? Not very close. But yeah, you can definitely use the log section. Any of you thinking in the lines of invocation API metrics? Okay. So we can use the API metrics under the metrics tab to check the APIs that might be failing. So let us look at the next one. So how can you see error messages thrown by a function in the developer console? Let's say you have a business logic in a function which is wrapped with try and catch. Yes. So right, a lot of people answering this one. So we can use our logs page where you can see the error logs, messages, stack traces, which help you with debugging. So last one, how can you share your Forge app with customers to get their feedback before you list the app on the marketplace? I see answers coming in. Yes, we can use the distributions tab to share our app for gathering feedback. So yeah, thanks to everyone for your amazing answers. Let us move on to the introduction of the Atlassian Developer Console. So from point of view of a Forge developer's journey, The developer console is a vital tool that helps developer to monitor, debug, and manage their app. So this is a web app and is particularly useful for tracking application usage, identifying errors, diagnosing issues within the application, and setting up alerts for specific conditions related to the application. Let's explore why the developer console is important. And we can start with monitoring. So the developer console helps you keep an eye on things. It shows real-time information like logs and metrics. You can also set up alerts to get notified if your customers are facing issues with a certain version of your app. It also provides visibility around platform health by looking at platform health page, and you can view different charts for errors and see API latencies, which help in understanding the health and performance of the app. Then we have the manage section, which simplifies management of your app by simplifying management of app settings and configurations, helps you manage user access and permissions, and helps you with distribution of your app. Then we have storage. So Forge today provides various storage solutions for developers building applications. So you can keep a track of storage metrics and how often certain operations are successful or failing. And finally, we have the build section. So the console helps with environment management, like when you have a custom environment used by different developers. It also helps you keep track of current versions being used in different environments and helps you monitor when certain deployments are made in different environments. So yes, I think that's all the slides I have, pretty low on slides. So in the current section, I'll discuss how you can use the developer console to overcome your daily challenges while working with your Forge app. And to illustrate this, I'll go over a demo app. So let me stop sharing the entire presentation. Can quickly this. So yeah, a very simple app. So this app is already present on DAC, and you can get sample code and deploy and start using this application already. So very simple to do app. So wherein, let's say, before you move a ticket to done, you basically can add some items that needs to be completed, and you can click on these items to move their status to done. You can add new items or basically delete any item. So this is the basic app that we have. And now let us look at our first use case. So now let's say we want to build more features on top of this application. And to do that, we would want to onboard new developers to the team. So new developers would also need access to the developer console and in general to deployment of the application to, let's say, development or staging environments to help with their testing. So how can we do that? So before I go to the console, how I can do that using the console, all the documentation is present on DAC. So you can always go to DAC. There's a manage section. You can come here, you can open observability access, and you'll find all the documentations present here. So right now we are going to cover this one. So yes, let's add our new team member. Let's go back to developer console. We have our contributor section. So here we can click on add contributors. We can give the email of our contributor, and then we can select a role. So there are different roles that are available. So for example, you have a new team member joining the team, and you would initially want him to get onboarded to the application, understand how the application works, look at maybe metrics and logs to understand the overall flow of the application. So you can give him a viewer role with maybe production log access to look at the logs. Now, let's say if you have a freelancer joining the team or your developer is now ready to raise pull requests, you can give him a developer role where he will now also have access to run commands to deploy the application on development and staging. Then let's say if you have maybe a bot that you're using in your CI/CD pipelines, or you have an SRE joining the team who would deploy the application to different environments, including the production environment. So you can give him the deploy role. So once done, we can just click on the add button to add the contributor. Apart from this, you have a way to basically edit the role at any point of time. So let's say if you have given the developer a viewer role initially, and then you would want him to be upgraded to a developer role, you can always do that. Yeah, apart from that, you can also remove a certain contributor if he has left the team. We have our basic search. And then we have this activity section, which can help you keep track of different contributors added or removed or role updated by different admins. So yeah, this is what we have in contributors. Let's go back. So awesome. Now let's look at our next use case now that we have a new developer onboarded, and let's say he's building features, and now he has built a certain feature and we want to test the feature, uh, and something went wrong doing that. How do we troubleshoot issues? So let us go to, yeah, the site. So let's say our developer has built a new feature. Basically whenever you move a certain item to done, or basically add or remove a item in a ticket, you would want comments to be posted. But definitely looks like that is not working right now. So let us see why is that the case. So again, we can head to the developer console. And before I basically try to look for the issue, different developers might approach this differently. So some people would directly jump to logs and see what is going wrong, or maybe go to metric section. So yeah, I would do it in a different way. So maybe I'll go to invocation. Since we are testing on development, I can select the development environment. I see the invocation success rate is low. There are errors. So I can go to the invocation errors. So here I see there's a site which I'm using, and I see there are some errors. So I can go to logs. So as soon as I come to logs, you see the environment, the time filter, and the site is already selected. Uh, we are looking for errors. So let me also select the error level. So I see there is something wrong at post comment, and I also see an error saying failed to post comment, bad request. Looks like something going wrong in API. I can head to API metrics. I see there are 4x6 client errors here. I can go to more details here. So looks like this particular API is throwing errors. I can also verify the site once. Yes, this is our site. So yeah, looks like there is something going wrong in this API, and I can go to the code and fix it. So of course, I already have the fix available. So I'll just comment and uh, put in the fix. So the issue was with the body structure not properly being formed. I can go back to my terminal and hit just push deploy. Cool. So yeah, this is going to take a minute. So till the time this is getting loaded. There's one of the ways using which we can find the errors. Obviously, you can also jump to log section directly and look at the errors. Apart from this, many people or basically admins visit the monitor page for even tracking in general the health of the app. So how you can do that is maybe you can go to platform health page to see all the active incidents that are going on, and kind of see if this is affecting your application or not. People also go to the invocation screen to in general see whether their invocation success rate is over 90% or not. Then admins also like to go to API screen to see the API response times, to see how different APIs are kind of affecting the overall performance of their app. And then finally, I think we have this cache section under storage where people, if they have used cache, they can check their cache hit rate or basically check the cache response times and see how their application is benefiting from using cache. So yep, I think the deployment is done. I can go back and just hit a quick reload. I can taking more time than usual. Maybe my internet. So let's try moving an item. Yep, we see a comment being posted that we have changed status for this item. So cool. I think we have fixed our issue and let us go back. So now that we saw how we can troubleshoot issues around our application, let us look at another scenario where now we would want our application to be shared with some of our trusted customers before we put it on marketplace. And before sharing the application, I feel it's always a good practice to set up some kind of notification so that we get notified if something goes wrong and can proactively fix the issue before the customer kind of reaches back to us with the issue. So, yep, let us see how we can do that. So to set up notifications, let us first look at alerts. So we can go to alert rules. So we can hit on create new alert. So you will have to select the source metric on which the alert will be triggered on. We can select invocation errors. So you will have a chart. Sorry for that. So you will have a chart showing all the past errors that had occurred. You can select the time range as you fit. And this is going to kind of help you determine the threshold, which when breached, you would like to be notified. You can add additional source filters to define the source. So you can add error type function, a particular site name, or maybe a major version. Right now, let's keep it simple. So next, you'll have to select the time period in which your data will be aggregated. Then you have your trigger conditions. So right now, here you'll have to add the threshold, which when breached, you will get notified. You can select different trigger conditions. You can have a minor one, which let's say if a threshold of 1 is breached, you will get a minor alert. And then let's say if a threshold of 3 is breached, you get a major one. And then finally you get a critical one. Again, just keeping it simple, adding a threshold of 1. Apart from that, you can have advanced configuration around adding alert tolerance, which helps you set how many times a particular threshold is breached before which you start getting notified. Again, keeping it simple. Next, you will need to select all the different responders who will be notified whenever the threshold is breached. Next, you will have to add maybe alert name, description. And finally, you can add a link to the runbook, which the developer, when notified, can follow to debug the issue. And let's click on create alert and we see our alert is created. So once the alert is created, always obviously you can always go back and edit the alert configurations. You can disable or delete the alert if needed. Apart from that, you have this activity section, which helps you keep in track of when was a certain alert created or disabled or deleted. Again, there are the basic filters available, which you can use to find find a particular alert. So yeah, apart from this, since right now, while demoing, invoking an alert would be difficult, what I've done is I have already triggered one alert. So this is how you will be notified regarding the alert. So you'll be notified via an email, which will have the name of the alert, and then it will have the status of the alert and when was it opened, what was the metric on which the alert was triggered, and then the target value and the value of errors during that time. From the email, you can directly jump to log section or to the alert itself. Let's see what happens when we click on view logs. So you will see the time filter already selected. Yep. To help you find, look at errors during that time period. You can again select maybe errors to see what went wrong. Taking more time than usual. So yeah, we see all the errors here. Apart from this, you can also jump to the alert directly. So once you come here, you can see the chart when the invocation errors were high. You can also see the status of the alert, severity, and all the different configurations that you have set. You can again jump to the logs or metrics screen directly or access the documentation. And then finally, you have an activity section, which tells you when the alert was triggered, who was the responder, and when was the alert closed. Uh, Yep. Apart from this, once the alert is closed, you will get a closed email with the alert name, the status of the alert, and the duration in which the alert was there. So, so now that we have a notification set up, I think we can proceed with distributing our app. So to distribute our app, I'll come to the distribution section under the developer console. I will have to enable sharing first. If you see this is disabled initially, I can click on edit. I can enable sharing, fill in the required details. Right now, all of them are dummy. I can hit on save changes. And as soon as I enable sharing, you can now see the links are enabled. You will have to select one of these checkboxes to generate an installation link for your product. So ours is a Jira app. So let us click on Jira. So yeah, this is the installation link which gets generated and you can share it with your customers. So right now, let's say we are the customers. So let me open the link. Hmm. Everything is slower than usual. I think it's my internet. Um, so yeah, this is a screen that your customers will get, and they can click on Get App and select the site for which they want to make the installation. So right now, let us select a site which already has the app installed. And if that is the case, you will get an error saying the app is already installed on the site, and you will not be allowed to install it again. So let us select a site which does not have the app installed. We can also look at the site real quick. This is 3. I think I don't need this one. Yep. So if we see there are no apps here, we can hit install. This again takes like a minute, I think. So there are several API calls that goes behind the scene, and that is why it takes a little bit time. I think the installation is already done. It's just my internet is acting up. So yeah, we see the app, but let us, yep. So you will see this installation successful. You will see the um, toaster coming in. So now let us go to our site. Let us select the app that we have installed and maybe add a to-do item. Now that we have added the item, we should also see a comment. Yep, we do see that. And yeah, customers are happy. Our app is working. So let me go back to our presentation, I think. Yes. So now that we saw how we can use direct distribution and how we can set up alerts, I also wanted to cover some additional screens that I feel comes in handy for admins. So some of them are, one of them is the environment screen. This helps you keep a track of different environments that you have, and then what is the version of the app that is deployed to a certain environment. And then if you have custom environments which different developers are using, you can manage those environments from here. At any time, you can delete those environments. Apart from that, we have the deployment screen, which will show when a certain version of the app is deployed to different environments. Apart from that, we have installation screen, where we can see all the set of installations that are present in your app, and you can directly jump to the log screen if you have access to logs for that certain site. And finally, I also wanted to cover this permission screen. So just as in case you want to see what all different attraction products your app has access, and jump screen and check all different permissions given. You can also jump to the documentation directly from here for Jira or storage that we have given permission to, but yeah. So for most of our applications, these set of screens would help a Forge developer to debug their application. But then there are certain large applications which might have advanced use cases around having maybe advanced filtering or adding advanced alerting on top of our logs and metrics. They might have some advanced logging that they might be doing. So for those, they would want logs and metrics to be exported out of Atlassian to their system, maybe their tool of choice. And to do that, we today support, yeah, was that someone? No. Okay, cool. So we support exporting of logs and metrics to our tools of choice. So you can again follow the documentation. You can go to maybe export up logs or metrics and just follow the documentation to export logs and metrics for your application. For today's demo, I'll just cover log streaming, and I think metric streaming is equally simple. So on a high level, how this works is basically the endpoint that is mentioned in our developer documentation. We'll have the we will hit the endpoint from our service. We'll get back OTLP format logs that will be pushing to our OTL collector. So in our OTL collector, we'll have our exporters mentioned, which can be one of the tools of choice, and then it'll take care of pushing logs to our monitoring tools. So to do a quick demo, I think I go to. So what I'm using here is again an example repo, which is already present on DAC. This has all different examples for Splunk, New Relic, Datadog, and then this also has recipes that can help you uh, get kickstarted with your streaming and metrics exporting. But right now, what I have is this OTL collector config YAML. This is our receiver, and then we have our exporter set as Datadog. I've given just the basic API key and site name. Then I have my index file where I've given all the required details for our API, something around the app ID, environment ID. I've given the email ID and the end and start date, the period in which I would want the logs to be exported. Then I have this simple function, which is basically hitting the endpoint with all the details that we just provided. And finally, we'll be pushing our data to yeah, our total collector. So let's see this in action. So I don't have my Docker up. Just open my Docker. Yeah. And I can just run this. So I'm running this from my service. You can have a cron job which runs periodically and has the data range selected dynamically. So yep, I see logs are getting pushed successfully. I can open wait for the logs to appear here. We might have to wait for some time, and at times just keep uh, jumping between different time filters. Yep, let's give it a minute. All logs are pushed. Yep, we can see our logs here. So you can go here, you can expand the log, you can add all your advanced querying and filtering on top of this. So awesome. This is how we can export logs. Going back to my presentation, I think can hit the yeah. Awesome. So just doing a quick recap of what all we covered. So we covered monitoring and debugging. We saw how we can track application health using the platform health screen, the invocation and API pages. Then we saw how we can use metrics and logs to debug invocation or API errors. Then we saw different screens to help us with application management, like the installation, deployment, and environment pages. Then we saw how we can add alerting and notification. So we can create alerts for proactive issue resolution. Then we saw direct app distribution, so how we can share our app with our customers before marketplace release. And then we saw how we can, basically do logs and metric streaming for uh, advanced use cases. So let's look at what's coming next. So our team is committed to continuously enhance our platform to elevate Forge observability, empowering developers to monitor and debug their applications more effectively. Some of the features that that would be soon in preview. One of them is SQL observability. So we'll improve how we monitor our SQL resources by adding more filters and detailed screens. We will also show metrics for slow queries and schema migrations. Apart from that, we have analytics. So I feel analytics are very important to track how well their apps are doing. And right now, apps can send data to any analytics tool they choose. In near future, we will consider customer consent when sending data, and we are also working on building our own analytics solution. Next, we have the usage dashboard. So in future, pricing will be based on usage, and it's important for partners to monitor their usage and estimate their monthly bills at least 6 months ahead of time. And the usage dashboard will allow our partners to look at the same. Uh, these are some of the next set of features which are coming. But apart from this, our PMs and EMs are always looking for new features that can be added to the console to make it better for our developers. And some of the ways we gather feedback and feature request for from our Forge developers is we use the feedback tool in Developer Console. We read posts from developers on CDAC to see their concerns. We review eco dev tickets. Then we also discuss, sorry, with partners at Atlas Camp to learn about their interest and ideas for improving the developer console in general. Yeah, so that's all I had for today. Just want to check with Ian if we can take questions, and I think people can unmute themselves.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek. That was a really nice demo. So kudos to you and the team for making all of these functionalities possible. So I've seen the chat not really blowing up, but we do have some questions in here, and the team is currently answering them. Do we before we go to the chat, do we have any live questions coming in from the attendees? Feel free to use the raise hand button if you have any questions and you're comfortable asking it live. No? Okay, I guess we'll go to the chat. The first unanswered one is, can we get the URL of the source code repository? I guess this is referring to the To-Do app. I believe that's the one in the sample apps in the documentation. Is that correct, Abhishek?
Yeah, it's one of the sample apps. You can just go to that. You can
Okay.
search for Jira Fort sample app and you'll get that.
Okay.
If you want, I can also share the link.
I have the link handy with me. I am using the custom UI. Is that the one? I think it's just the one. Okay. Next question is from Andre. Oh, I think it's already been answered in the chat. Is that correct? Yep, it's been answered. So one is from Christoph about Christoph, do you want to ask your question live, if you don't mind?
Yes, I can. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So we have been using the usage metrics API. We have access to the EAP, and we try to forecast our costs looking at AWS pricing, but we couldn't make a mapping between your metrics and AWS pricing. So could you provide more details on this, like a formula we could use to guess what will be our costs next year?
Sure. I don't know if Chandana, you want to take this?
Sorry, Christoph, I was working on a question. Can you please repeat?
Yes, sure. So we have been using the usage metrics API. So we have access to the EAP, and we want to forecast our costs next year when Forge will be a paid platform. We don't really know which formula we should apply. We looked at AWS pricing. We tried to do mapping, but we could not find a solution. So could you help us on this?
Thanks, Christoph, for repeating. So today the pricing strategy got approved and the publish of the blog will happen. I know how it is being structured, but I would let the announcement come formally. So with that, you will be getting an idea of how the usage will translate to the costs, Christoph.
Okay, thank you. Do you know when the announcements will be made?
I don't know the exact date, Christoph, but I do know that they are planning it in this month.
Okay.
Internally, we got the approval from that Atlassian leadership, so you can expect it somewhere around this month.
Cool. So that will be before end of next week then.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So next up is from Dusan. Did I say that correctly?
Yep.
Okay. Do you mind asking your question live, please?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I was wondering, how those usage metrics, the new EIP that you proposed, how can we be sure that those metrics are under the quotas and limits that you have on your platform? I'm currently using like some manual calculations to see if everything is going well, but it would be very useful to see those quotas and limits directly integrated into the developer console.
Yeah, I can take that one. So we are, I think, in the initial stages of building this usage metrics, but in future milestones, we actually intend to show the actual quotas and the thresholds, and probably late in the game, there'll also be some capabilities to alert when somebody is nearing their quotas. But this is all further in the timeline. As soon as the monetization, the proposal is out, the blog and announcement is out, over the next quarter, we'll start rolling out these features incrementally. But yes, we get the point. At this point, there is no reference shown in the charts, but we will incorporate that functionality soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question on this one. Can I ask it?
Oh, sure.
So we try to calculate our quotas. The documentation states that it's based on the number of seats. Where can we find the number of the seat count for an app? And does it include only paid seats?
Yeah, I think I'll take that question too. The current quotas documentation is slightly dated. The new monetization proposal and the new charging model is slightly, I think, different. No, I mean, once the announcement is through, I think there's also going to be refreshed documentation on how quotas are measured and how quotas are allotted. So I think the existing documentation is not strictly true. It's slightly dated, I'd say.
Okay, does that mean that the quota will be different, or the metric you'll be looking at will be different?
Right, yeah.
So will the quota be higher or lower that we currently have?
Yeah, I think it's still under discussion. I think we just got it approved. Probably we'll need to wait for a week or two for the official announcement to be published. But from what I understood, the quotas are going to be liberal, probably covering, I might be wrong on the numbers, but probably covering 90+% of the apps under the free quotas. So they're going to be pretty liberal. I can't comment on exact numbers yet, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. I will wait for the announcement then.
Okay, thank you. Next up, oh, by the way, before we go to the next one, Katerina, by any chance, do we have any questions from YouTube live stream?
Right now.
Okay, none yet. Okay, thanks. So going to the question from Sambav, can you explain the distribution again? And any specific section you want to be explained, Sambav, regarding distribution? Is Sambav still in the call?
Hi, Ian.
Hello. Yep.
So, yeah, the distribution section, how we can get the app thing which was getting showed up. So that I got confused.
Oh, Abhishek, were you
Okay,
able
with
to
the
get
get
that
app
one?
button,
Yeah,
maybe
I
you can try.
think there are certain parameters that needs to be filled before getting that.
Yes, we need to fill in certain set of fields before enabling it for sharing. So is that what you're asking? Where we
Yes.
get that installation link? Okay. So yeah, I think what I showed in the demo is all demo links. You will need to add some privacy documentation and other fields. So think if you just want to create it right now, you can add dummy fields, but before sharing it, maybe you would want to put in the right set of links. Just opening the distribution section. Yeah, is your question around maybe the privacy policy in terms of service?
Yeah, that kind of things. Yes.
I think that would need to be generated, some maybe documentation link that
Okay.
would need to add.
Okay, Abhishek, thanks. So these are mostly the privacy policies that needs to be set while developing the app. Am I correct?
Yeah, mostly it should be one for your company, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Abhishek. Thanks, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on to Jason's question. Jason from AppFire. Is he still here?
Hi.
So basically, oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, no, just interested in if there's a way to like programmatically download the production version of the manifest for a given app for basically a little context just for tracking the state of, so if we want to track outside of the source repo, the production state of an app.
So just trying to understand the question. So, no, but since the code base is at your end, just trying to understand the use case. I think there is not currently. Maybe the team can add if they know any to download the manifest. But just trying to understand the use case. Why would you need that?
Well, so this is a part of the migration from Connect to Forge, if we want to track the state of that migration across a large number of apps, and the code base is not necessarily doesn't necessarily reflect the production version of an app because the deployment can happen in different ways. So it'd be nice to. So I'm asking if there's a way to download that manifest for, say, a large number of apps, an API or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll try to take this one. As far as I know, unfortunately, there's no way to do that. So that's the short answer.
Sure. Okay.
Yep. Next up is from, we have a couple of questions from Dusan. First one around the GraphQL. So are there any plans to make the GraphQL used by the developer console documented and official? And we have a lot of upvotes for this question. So Chandana, I see you answer the questions via chat, but do you mind answering it? Oh, sorry.
I would like to understand the use cases for the GraphQL documentation. Yeah, because we are providing APIs and extending
Yeah.
so and the UI as well. So just want to understand how will this help Susan?
Yeah, well, you guys, you did a great job previously with adding usage metrics into the developer console, and there is so many things that we could do more. And for example, I was wondering, it would be useful to get those datas and add some specific alerts, for example, based on the values of those datas. So I would be interested to use that GraphQL to get the datas and then store them in our system, and then add some custom logic, some specific logic with alerts and other things. But
Okay,
there could be much more things that it could do once we get those datas in our systems.
So are you talking about the metrics, for example, invocation and API metrics for your app?
No, I'm talking more about those new metrics that are in a EIP, like a function metrics, read and write metrics, and so on.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I think at this point we haven't enabled programmatic consumption, but that is something we would like to do in the future as well. Probably not expose the GraphQL endpoints that Dev Console is using, but probably build a public-facing API for that. An intentional API for supplying that usage information. That's in our roadmap as well.
Okay, thanks. And I could ask you the next question that I asked in the chat. It will be easier since it's very related about your roadmap. Is there a way to get more details? Because I imagine there are so many interesting things that you will be working on in the next weeks and months.
Yeah, Dusan, I can take this up. So we are constantly adding things when finalized to the roadmap, JPD, the Jira product discovery roadmap we have. Whatever we work on comes under the platform category. So yeah, we have a few things under pipeline like distribution, feature flags, yeah, and many more. Like analytics also is something which we have under our roadmap. So yeah, once finalized, once the dates are up, we'll be constantly updating the Jira product discovery board. And the question that you have posted in the chat, usage metrics is going to be enhanced for sure. There will be numerous filters like environments that will be added. Top 20 sites that are consuming the usage will also be shown. So yeah, by Atlas Camp is our target. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, I can see Christoph raising his hand. So
thank you. A quick follow-up on Dushan's comments. Could you please consider providing an API for any new metrics added to the console? This would allow us to integrate the data in our BI reporting, and so we can create our own views.
Yeah, Christoph, feedback taken. I may not give complete details for usage, but it's because of a different architecture that we have not gone for the API first approach, but we'll have this in mind, Christoph, for any future features that we are coming up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Those are all the questions we have. So last check, any questions from YouTube, Katarina?
No,
If
no
none,
questions.
I think that's it. So that was a very interactive session. We got a lot of feedback and questions. So thanks, everyone. But before we go, I'd like to thank our presenter, Abhishek, and the rest of the team who helped moderate and answer all the questions. So thank you again for sharing your expertise with the growing developer community. With that, I hope everyone learned something new today and hope to see you in the next Dev Den. Okay, have a nice day, everyone. Cheers.